Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I have an urgent warning. Urgent warning. If you get an email entitled "Nude Photo of Hillary Clinton," do not open it. I repeat, do not open it. It does contain a nude photo of Hillary Clinton. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with a Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Oh, good morning, good morning. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and a little bit about some of our great advertisers, too, like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, locally owned, 734-6969. And our friends at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Well, do we have a Pledge of Allegiance person? Wheels, are they there?
Yes, sir, they are.
Okay, turn them on, please. Go ahead.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have got to promise to come back and do it again. That was excellent, sir, and thank you very much, and God's blessings to you. Thank you. Very well done. Thank you very, very much. Wow. Great voice. Enjoyed that. Thank you very much. Time for the weather, but first of all, also want to remind you about Ted's Diesel and Electric moving to 635 21st Street in Hayburn. That's El Fresco Road. Owned by Doug Martin, and Doug can rebuild starters, alternators, generators, and he also sells brand new. Ted's Diesel and Electric moving to 635 21st Street in Hayburn. Time for the weather, and the weather is brought to everybody by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. I know they had that great big community garage sale this last Saturday, and I hope everything went well. I hope you had a good time. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door, and they've got all your newly refurbished furniture, carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items, whatever you need to make your house a home. Really, really good people at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. And right now, here's the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we enter on into another work week. Partly cloudy skies for today. We do have a slight chance of afternoon rain showers or thunderstorms. Pretty typical for this time of year. Slightly breezy as well. Winds out of the southeast right around 11 miles an hour. Expect a high of 88 for today. Tonight, low of 60. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny skies. High of 90 with an overnight low of 63. And that type of weather is going to stick with us as we move through the week and on into the weekend. Expect partly to mostly sunny skies. Highs in the upper 80s to low 90s. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you so much, Gina. Great job. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Always there to help make your house a home. Thank you so much. Wow, great weekend. Had a wonderful weekend, and Deanna and I did quite a bit, and always took a little time out to study our hummingbirds that buzz, about 10 of them, right over our heads, literally on the back porch, and we've got to name them. That's how bad we're getting. about a couple of old fogies sitting on the back porch watching the hummingbirds. And we got Black Bart, and we got old Annie Oakley, and we've got all kinds of them out there. Hummingbirds, they're interesting creatures. I've never seen anything as agile as a hummingbird. Hey, don't forget Daryl's Cleaners. And I've got Kevin, if you're listening, I've got to get something over to you. Don't forget, buddy. Hey, listen, Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They absolutely do the best job of cleaning your clothes. Dry cleaning prolongs the length of life of your clothing, and they do a wonderful, fantastic job. Stop in and see them today at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Simply put, they are the best. And when we talk about the best, we also have to talk about our friends at SafeLink Internet. Little by little, in becoming more efficient and proficient in using the computer. Well, let's not stretch it. Anyway, I'm learning. Idaho's number one choice for wireless internet, SafeLink Internet. Absolutely the first month free, plus free installation, no contracts, no credit checks, unlimited data. They will work for you. Please give them a call today, 677-8000, SafeLink Internet. I think I want to start off the program this morning with a little chit-chat about the GOP debate last Thursday night. It was very telling, and I thought that one lady, of course that gives it away, should have been better served in the big debate, and that's Carly Fiorina. I think she was absolutely relegated to the second tier, which started early in the afternoon. And I think that she also outclassed most everyone else in the debate. Last week on Thursday, and it was kind of ironic the way it worked out, we had her main spokesperson for her campaign on our program, and she had alluded to the fact of what Carly was going to talk about, what she was going to bring up, and everything came to fruition. And I thought she did an absolutely phenomenal job, and she will, in my opinion, no longer be considered a second-tier candidate. I think she has jumped up in numbers in the polls to warrant her being on the top tier, the top podiums the next time. Carly Fiorina, in my opinion, along with Ted Cruz and Mike Huckabee, I thought really did well. And another kind of a dark horse, if you want to say, or maybe somebody that everybody's overlooking, I thought Dr. Ben Carson did a wonderful job. What are your thoughts on that debate? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. But the big story of that debate, and I want to say this and I want to get your opinion. So this is an opinion question this morning. Let me know. For those that studied and watched the debate, I'm going to say it very simply. I thought that Fox News, and I thought specifically Megyn Kelly, set the bar extremely low and with low class when they asked Trump that first question about women and hating women, and I thought it was just really snarky, and I thought it was low class. What are your thoughts? It set the tone of the debate against Trump, and I think that's what they wanted to do. And it also discombobulated Trump, too. And none of the other questions of any of the other candidates were as personal and classless as that one was. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. My opinion of whatchamacallit, our number one.
Who are you talking about, Keith?
I guess. Keith. Anyway, what I'm going to say is he stepped down a notch, and Megyn Kelly stepped clear to the bottom as far as I'm concerned. She had a chance to study that before it came on. She knew exactly what she was going to say, and she wanted to get him stirred right from the beginning.
I agree with that. I agree. I thought it was I thought it was very low-classed, and many people say, oh, no, that's news. Oh, no, that should have put him on the spot. But you know what? I think, honestly, what that question was designed for was to put Trump on a defense, which he loses his temper very easily. That's a gimme. And he came back with a response that also I thought was low-classed. So there again, it caused him to go where he did, and I thought Megyn Kelly was the guilty party. I just thought that question was not of presidential debate quality.
But I was pleased with Ted Cruz. That man has got guts.
I agree. I will say this. I thought that Jeb Bush was absolutely a deer in the headlights. I thought he was an also-ran, and I hope it stays that way.
And Dr. Ben Carson, what a class act that guy is.
He really was.
He is a gentleman.
He really is, and he was that night of the debate. Keith, God bless you, man. I got to do a commercial. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right, sir. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like somebody else with that same thought about the debate. Did you think that Megyn Kelly's question from Fox News was as low-classed as I did? Give me your thoughts and opinion on that. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Normally, and you know this to be true, normally I am a fan, not a critic, of Fox News. And in this case, I thought it was very poor taste. And I will say this also. I thought the opening of the actual debate was very strained. It was very unorthodox. It was very loosely put together, and I was not a fan of how they had constructed it. I think they could have done a much better job. Caller, I'll be right there. Have your patience with me. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody about Ramsey Heating and Electric. This week, we're going to be back into the 90s again, and that means that you're going to have your air conditioner on, and you're going to say, yeah, buddy, do your thing. Well, it can't do its thing if you don't have a proper air filter in there that's cleaned and ready to go. So stop over to Ramsey Heating and Electric. Get your air filters for your air conditioning units today, okay? Along with all your electrical needs right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burleigh, where they provide warm winters and cool summers at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, good morning. Thank you for your patience.
Good morning. You know, I really liked Megyn Kelly. I thought she's really tops. But you know, today, I think she's on the level with O'Reilly.
Let me ask...
I don't know whether she's worth watching anymore. She just... I was so disgusted at that first question, I just turned the TV set off.
Helen, let me ask you, from lady to lady, what would you, if you had a chance to see her and talk to her in person, what would you tell her about that question?
I'd tell her I am very, very disappointed and ashamed of her.
That's good to know. I'm glad to hear you call, and I like your opinion as always. Sometimes you scare me to where the sweat just runs off my brow, but I do appreciate your call.
Hey, somebody's got to keep you going.
I tell you what, you've got my motor revved up, I'll tell you that.
Okay, have a good day.
Thanks, Ellen. I thought Megyn Kelly really did not do a good service to herself. She tried to go for the theatrics. She tried to go for, oh boy, look what I did in the news, and I thought it was extremely low class, that question. They had studied their questions, they said, many, many days in advance between Mr. Wallace and Mr. Baer and Miss Megyn Kelly. But I think there were much more substantive questions that should have been asked and or answered. And I did not like that question at all to Donald Trump. Your thoughts? Maybe you thought it was a good thing. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, local people serving you. And boy, they've got everything over there for all your fair needs. I know here you are getting ready to go to the fair, and oh my goodness, you got everything thrown in the pick-em-up truck and in the trailer, and you get down there with your steer, your goats, your horses, whatever. Holy mackerel, we forgot the buckets and the brushes and the fly spray. Don't worry. Don't get nervous. It's all there at Valley Wine Home and Ranch. 910 South Oneida in Rupert. They've got everything, including now for those of us that want to take a couple of days off and rest. Like me, I would just like to get lost someplace and just go to a fishing hole someplace and go fishing. They got your licenses and everything else. At Valley Wine Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I also want to mention, too, that next week on the 20th, we will be having our next lunch bunch. Now, a lot of people say, well, gee, that's Fair Week. Look, I'm sorry, the schedule has kind of made it a positive thing that we have to have it next week. I'm so busy with so many other projects that we're going to have it next Thursday on the 20th at Denny's Restaurant, and we urge you to be there at 611 Overland in Burley. And we've got a lot of door prizes to give away. We got a lot of neat things to give away. We got some new sponsors on our list of things that are going to be given away. And Deanne's going to bring me in that list in just a few moments, and we're going to talk about it here a little bit later on this morning. So don't miss it. Denny's Restaurant in Burley, 611 Overland in Burley. And, of course, it is the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, and by the way, Wheels over at the station, good job, buddy. I appreciate you keeping things rolling for me. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
How you doing this morning? Not bad, sir. Yourself? Yes. Oh, hold on, sir.
All right. I think he's got to turn down that radio a little bit. There we go.
Sorry, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, sir, go ahead.
I totally agree with you with what you said about Megyn Kelly. We've got ISIS cutting people's heads off. We've got Iran that we've just basically given them a free ride for a nuclear deal. We got war all over the world, everything else. And this is the best that she can come up with for a question.
Yeah, what you're saying is really the way I feel, too. I mean, if everybody does not like Donald Trump in the media, and many people were setting their quiver of bows and arrows to try to shoot him out of first place, then why not ask him questions about policy? Why not ask him questions about ISIS? Why not ask him questions about what he would do to increase our national security or help our national economy? But to go into something as snarky as that, it was extremely low-classed.
Well, and I loved his reply. He is totally right. We live in a society that everything has to be politically correct.
That's true.
No, it doesn't have to be politically correct. If you're gay, you're gay. You can't go around and start politically saying, well, this person is not, they don't like the same sex I do or whatever. It's total stupidity. Why didn't they ask them about conditions of the world? This is what bothers me. Talk about the issues of the day. Not come up with, just like the other question you asked, how many of you would run as a third party? Stupidest question there ever was. Everybody knew that Donald Trump would wave his hand on it, so why did they even waste their time doing it,
Let me ask you a question, sir. There was another part of the debate that I did not care for. There were many of the candidates that did not get the same question and or had any question regarding certain topics. They skipped over them and they chose for others. Personally, I thought the way that debate was set up was all wrong. I thought, number one, 10 people on the stage I think is ridiculous. It's way too many. And then there were some that said, well, why not have all 17 on the stage? And that's ludicrous. But I honestly think that if you're going to ask a question about foreign policy, it should be the same question directed to each and every person so we, the public that are voting, could disseminate the information and really pick and choose who we like the answer of the best. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree, and but I have to go. But appreciate the call.
God bless you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. I didn't like that picking and choosing of, we're going to ask Dr. Ben Carson this, and we're going to ask Rand Paul this, and then we're going to hang it to Donald Trump on this one, and then we're going to ask Huckabee this. I did not like that at all. And to pick a conglomerate of a certain few to answer a certain question, no. I wanted to hear many of those questions. I wanted to hear all of them give their answer. Caller, stand by just a minute. I'll be right with you. Don't forget Minnecasia Sales. Every Tuesday, they sponsor Dr. History at 10:06. Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport with old Zach and the crew. There's a good old boy. Old Zach can help you on your windows, your carpeting, your Tartar Farm and Ranch gates and panels. They've got everything over there at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley. Caller, good morning. Thank you for your wait.
Well, good morning, Jeff. I didn't get to watch the debate, but I did catch clips here and there, and from what I gathered, it seemed to me that it was a witch hunt, more or less, from the Republican Party to on Donald Trump, or, just trying to knock him down, like you're saying, out of first place. I've always liked Donald Trump because he's not a politician. He never was. He was someone who built something from nothing, and he's made a name for himself. And to go and try to push him around and make him look stupid actually helped him out, in my opinion.
Well, let me.
Cruz and his the other senators who have worked really hard over the last several years, 8 years, to try to save America. I feel they need to stay as senators to help back up a good president who won't back down, who will put his feet in the ground and push back and tell him, hell no, we won't go.
Well, let's be really fair and honest about this, Riley. To say the least, Donald Trump is a little rough around the edges. He's a man that has always been accustomed to getting his own way. He's a man that has been a top financier, and he understands big business and how to achieve his goals. And when you ask a question like that to a man that is a little, like I said, rough around the edges, you're going to get a rough around the edges answer. And it was nothing more than a gotcha moment, and I've lost a lot of respect for Megyn Kelly at Fox News, and I hope I get the opportunity to let her know that in the future.
I did too. I used to think Fox News wasn't biased one way or the other, that they were straight shooters, and now I kind of wonder, even if they aren't a biased course.
All right. Well, Riley, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you. And it's interesting to me that so far this morning, every single person that's called in has agreed with me on the viewpoint that it was a setup, it was snarky, it was low, the question was not called for, and I'd like to hear your thoughts. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to talk just real quick about Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology. The number one thing that I have gained by knowing her and visiting with her and having her on this program is that she is absolutely so well informed on how to make your hearing better and talk about hearing loss and what she can do to help protect it. She's a Doctor of Audiology at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and the number to call for a hearing screening, and I urge you to do so, is 312-0957. 312-0957. She knows hearing, and she knows what she can do to help you. Please give her a call today, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology. Some really, really nice folks over there. By the way, it is time for our Sophie's Chatterbox Cinnamon Roll giveaway. We do it every Monday, and only for people that have never won before. First-time winners, okay? Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, a half dozen delicious cinnamon rolls that are huge. Oh, they're so good. And all you have to do is just get on in there to 530 East Street. Great restaurant, open 6 to 6 p.m. on weekdays, 6 to 2 on weekends. Oh, and then that baby. bakery department at Sophie's Chatterbox. Unbelievable. Here's the question for today, and it's an easy question. Very easy. Name the great comedian. I think this guy is hilariously funny. That starred in McHale's Navy and also was a regular on the Carol Burnett Show. Name the great comedian that starred in McHale's Navy, one of the top stars along with Ernie Borgnine. Who was it and also was on the Carol Burnett Show? That is an easy question. Come on, give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Mr. Tim Conway.
Who is this?
Doug?
Have you ever won donuts before?
No, and I don't need them, but I'll eat them.
Now, here's the deal, Doug Martin. You are right. It is Tim Conway. But as part of your continuing always wanting to be helpful, when you go over to get them, call me, and I'll make sure that you don't have to stuff yourself with all six.
You'll join me?
I walk on crutches.
All right.
Okay. Doug, congratulations, buddy.
Thanks.
Thank you. Doug Martin is the winner, and the name was Tim Conway. And I'll tell you what, that guy, still, funniest man, I think, on the face of the earth. Absolutely loved his humor. You know what's coming up before too long is the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo, and we want to acknowledge some of the great sponsors that are saying, come on to Burley for the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo, and they include the Burley Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. If you've got people coming in for out of the area for the fair, you don't want them sharing your bathroom at your house. Get them a room. Get them a room at the Burley Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. Call 677-5000 today. They're located at 230 West 7th Street in Burley. And how about our friends over at Easy Money Auto, RV, and Repair? These are wonderful people that can help you get your new used car today, and really good choices and opportunities, too. They're located at 200 Overland in Burley, 677-2300. And Kelly's Bearing Supply. I love this tagline. You'll know where you are when you get your bearings at Kelly's. I love that. All the bearings, chains, brackets, everything at Kelly's Bearing Supply, 1407 East Main in Burley. And they say, come on to the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo. Calls are welcome. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Call me and let me know about Megyn Kelly on Fox News. Very classless question, I thought. And here's something else that just absolutely is disconcerting and very alarming this morning. Another shooting in Ferguson, Missouri. Did you hear what these race baiters are doing in Ferguson? You know, I'm going to come right out and say this, and if it offends anybody, so be it, because it's got to be said. Why do people of many races and many ethnicities think that they are above the law and that they can goad, push, and promote their violence, their hatred, and anti-law being against police and not have some action taken? Well, a kid picks up a gun, and he stole a gun, actually, a 9mm, a black young man. And protesters were walking down the street in Ferguson, Missouri, carrying a pig's head. If you didn't know that, they were carrying a pig's head and chanting epithets against police. Well, this one guy decided that he would cause all kinds of problems. Maybe you've seen the video. And he started shooting at police. Well, what are they supposed to do? Naturally, they centralized where this man was, shot back, and critically wounded him. Of course, you know, naturally, the left, the race baiters and haters, oh, this poor black 19-year-old, baloney. He broke the law and could have killed a policeman, could have killed or injured someone else, total innocent bystander. Why are they allowed to push the envelope and expect no retribution back? The police in our country are absolutely being pushed up against the wall. Look at what happened over the weekend. Another policeman was pistol whipped almost to death by a black criminal. And they're not supposed to fight back? They're not supposed to take the offense when they're being pushed into a corner? Baloney! Our police need and deserve to protect themselves and us. I don't feel a bit of sympathy for any of the protesters. I don't feel a bit of sympathy for anyone that caused the problem originally in Ferguson, Missouri, and now it's continued on with the race baiters and haters. By the way, I'm going to lump some negativity on Hillary Clinton here right now this morning in kind of a related subject. You know I don't like her. She was on the Al Sharpton show last week on MSNBC, and it was all giggles and funny and tee-hee-ha-ha as she was defending Planned Parenthood. Here is one of the lowest class individuals in the United States today, Al Sharpton, and Hillary is on his show on MSNBC, and just listening to them turned my stomach. But what a sleazy mess the left is promoting behind Hillary Clinton. And this whole thing is just absolutely turning into one of the most vile situations in our country, to where they're promoting her. She's up to her neck in illegalities, whether it's with the Clinton Foundation, whether it's with Benghazi, her email situation. Absolutely a non-candidate. If it were any other name, any other circumstance, I honestly and firmly believe that either party would have just given them the door. But she is a front runner. And on the Al Sharpton show, how low can you go? Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You have got a job coming up. Maybe you're needing to clean out a bunch of stalls and you need one of those Bobcat loaders, vroom, 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 get in there and clean them all out. Or maybe you need a big Doosan loader. Whoa, baby, have they got the equipment at Berry Equipment and Rental. And all the equipment to get any job done right. I'll guarantee it, they can help you. Whether it's the Coyote tractors or whether it's the Walker lawnmowers, and you still got a lot of lawn mowing left, too. You want to check at all three locations for the best of the equipment you need. Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln in Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. The best. Buying or leasing, you better believe it, Berry Equipment and Rental. They can and they will help you. Also, real quick, while we have just an opportunity here, I want to remind you about our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Man, they know all the sports medicine. They know all the exercises, and they've got a great, honest-to-goodness, comprehensive staff of people that are experts in physical therapy. Oh, the list goes on and on. And they can help you get back to being and feeling yourself. That's the key, just really get back in shape. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And don't forget the number to call right now for an appointment, 678-1191. Get it? 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Really good folks. How do I know? I work with them. Absolutely. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One of the all-time greats in football as a player, and then also as a broadcaster. He set the high-level mark as a player. He was one of the most outstanding football players in the NFL for years. And then as a broadcaster, set the high-water mark, I think, as one of the very, very best. And I really credit him with holding Monday Night Football together in the early stages with Howard Cosell. Never knew where Howard was going to go off the rails. And also Dandy Don Meredith. And I think Frank Gifford absolutely was excellent. Frank Gifford passed away this weekend at the age of 84. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. Why in the world would you call the thing they had a debate? It was not a debate. It wasn't even close. What do you call it?
I would call it nothing more than a question and answer, a potpourri. You can name any one thing. The only thing that resembled a debate, and this is again my own personal opinion, Keith, and I think you're going to agree, was the exchange between New Jersey Governor Christie and Senator Rand Paul. That was the only thing that resembled a debate.
That's exactly what my wife said, and I agree with her. But were they side by side, or was that just the way the TV made it?
No, they were side by side. They were, and by the way, when you get 10 people up at a podium, standing there at a lectern, I'll go back and say it again. It was a farce. It was a sham. It was absolute lunacy because not everybody answered the same question. I don't know the viewpoints on some very important issues from some of the people because they, Fox News, picked and choose who would answer what, and I was against that from the get-go.
Yeah. And the answer to your other question about Ferguson, where else would that have even been mentioned? There was probably two shootings in Chicago. I don't know whether there were or not, but there probably was. And there's no mention of that.
Yeah.
It's because it was Ferguson and we can dig up the dirt again.
I could not agree more, and this situation in Ferguson is nothing more than a smoldering fire, which is going to grow into a major flame again because of the race baiters and haters like Al Sharpton and many others.
My wife was asking me a question the other day. Do you think these people will rebuild?
Why should they?
I don't see how they can.
Well, yeah, okay, let's turn this around. What about Baltimore? Would you want to rebuild your business in Baltimore? Would you want to extend the finances or try to come up with the money somehow to rebuild your business? If it were me and I lost my drugstore, I lost my meat market, I lost my convenience store, whatever, I would be out of there and absolutely kiss goodbye to Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah, you could not sell the business. For what it's true value.
Yeah, for about 10 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, and so if you rebuild, they're probably going to tear it down again. And so my heart goes out to these people. It really does.
I agree with you. Keith, always good points of interest. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. God bless. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hey, we got to talk about a good young man and his son, J&W Horseshoeing. Josh and Wiley, father and son team. I'll tell you what, I absolutely was so thrilled the other day. I had a chance to meet Josh Mays, his son, Wiley. Wiley and the Wild Bunch. There is a great young man. And Josh Mays does a lot of corrective shoeing from draft horses all the way to ponies. And weekends are the best for him. And the number to call, 432-2260 or 410-1837. For your horseshoeing needs, J&W Horseshoeing. And you get the dynamic duo of Josh and Wiley. And they really know their stuff. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to have some of your calls this morning. Give me a jingle. Right now, I'm going to get the weather on. I want to find out what's going to happen here this week. I'm hearing that we're going to get back into the 90s, and the weather is brought to you by Mad River Laser. 502 East Street in Rupert with Nicole and the rest of the crew. If you have not been in there, I urge you to go in because she can do anything for your business, your logos, anything, personalize anything you want, whether it's sweatshirts, caps, t-shirts, jackets, whatever, all your business needs. Stop in because it's back to school. Get ready for all the sweatshirts from Carhartt, Bernie, Nike, I almost did it again, and Gildan and Haynes. They've got them all, and they can put your company name and logo on them. Oh, she does a wonderful job. Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. And right now, here is the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we enter on into another work week. Partly cloudy skies for today. We do have a slight chance of afternoon rain showers or thunderstorms. Pretty typical for this time of year. Slightly breezy as well. Winds out of the southeast right around 11 miles an hour. Expect a high of 88 for today. Tonight, low of 60. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny skies. High of 90 with an overnight low of 63. And that type of weather is going to stick with us as we move through the week and on into the weekend. Expect partly to mostly sunny skies. Highs in the upper 80s to low 90s. That's your weather forecast for Zebeth the Rain.
I appreciate that, Gina. Thank you very much. And brought to you by Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. Really, really good folks. Another question I've got this morning. Did anybody out there, please give me a call on this, did anybody out there in their Sunday paper happen to look at the parade section in the paper on the cover? And it said, What America Eats 2015 Lunch. Now, I got to be really honest with you. If this is what the school lunch programs are looking in general to students going down into the school lunchroom, there are some things in some of the categories here this morning that I have no clue what they are, nor do I want to know. This is absolute lunacy to think that you are going to fill up and give enough go power to our youngsters looking at this tray of food. One had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 9 peas in the center of it. I'm talking peas, P-E-A-S, 9 peas. And a couple of olives. There were 5 of them. And there was like a half of an apple cut up in 4 little sections. Oh, goody, it gets better. We've got some, I don't know what those things are on the right-hand side. Deanne, what is that? What would you call those in that picture right there? Ugly kind of shell-shaped noodles and a little bit of lettuce. This stuff looks absolutely hideous, and I don't know any teenager that is sitting in school all day long and at this time of the year, looking forward to football practice after school, that could find enough nutrition, find enough go power in these lunches to go and try to make it to supper, maybe at about 7 o'clock in the evening. Simply put, ain't no way. What? You know, these kids need food. These kids need something substantive. They need something that's good. They need something they will eat. This does not cut the cake, figuratively speaking. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let me know what your thoughts are. That was, honestly, if I had to look at that as an adult heading for lunch, no, we'd make a little detour and find something else. Don't forget the great big Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo. Holy smokes, they have got everything all planned for the week of August 17th through the 22nd. And the big rodeo's coming to town. I'll tell you what, it's going to be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, and you can bet it's going to be a dandy, as it always is. So be sure and check out all the fun at your 2015 Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo. And, of course, the stock brought in again by Jeff Flitton and the Bar T Rodeo Company. August 17th through the 22nd, all the fun of the rides, the carnival, the animals, the cotton candy, everything at your Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What'd you think about that cover on Parade magazine in the newspaper yesterday? Would you really be happy with that kind of stuff? Not filling at all. They had a conglomerate of, it looks like sunflower seeds and some kind of barley or wheat, and about 10 of those clamshell little pastas. Yuck. And I have no clue. I need somebody to call me. Somebody tell me what was in the tray that it looks pretty ominous. I won't tell you over the microphone what it really looked like to me, because the cowboy verbiage in me would come out. But along with some of the almonds and some of the nuts, that stuff looks seriously bad. But anyhow, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Chuck Schumer, Democrat Chuck Schumer, is on the hot seat. Woo, baby. I never thought that I would be on this program giving praise to a Democrat, especially one like Chuck Schumer. But you know what? I have to, because he's standing up and saying no. He's standing up and saying he will not vote for the Iranian nuclear deal. He is going to break away from Obama. He's going to break away from the Democrats. He's going to cause a big ripple back there in Washington, because he, of the Democrats, is one of the only ones that has the guts and the backbone to stand up for what's right and say no to Obama. What are your thoughts about this? As most of them will parade like little soldiers lockstep behind Obama and his idiocy, I hope and pray that there will be many more like Chuck Schumer, Democrat from New York, that will stand up and say no. This deal it's almost laughable. We didn't get anything. I want somebody to call me right now. I've looked through this thing. I have not read the entirety of it. I've looked through it, and I can't see where we got anything. What did we get? Somebody call me and tell me what that nuclear deal was as of a benefit to us and our allies. I don't think you can. And we still have our 4+ more political prisoners over in Iran. There won't be a negotiation with Iran. If there is any kind of a conflagration, and you know there will be, over their enhancement of uranium and nuclear program, they're not going to turn loose those people. They're going to use them as pawns and shills to get more of what they want. This John Kerry as a negotiator, are you kidding me? This is one of the worst deals ever in the history of the United States. That's not me talking alone. It's many, many others. And that is one thing that I think should have been brought out a lot more with the presidential hopefuls in that so-called debate last Thursday night. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zach. This is Jeff. How you doing today?
Good, thank you. What can I do for you?
Well, in that deal with Iran, the old thing goes, they got the gold and we got the shaft.
That's a good way to put it. I agree. No, I totally agree. I don't think there's anything positive about that Iranian deal, and I do compliment, and boy, this hurts. It hurts me because I very seldom ever compliment a Democrat, but I do compliment Chuck Schumer.
Well, I think I know what's going to happen if they do approve this thing. This will, as some of the people have said, will trigger a nuclear arms race in the Middle East.
Absolutely.
And then we're not too far away then from World War III, Armageddon, whatever you want to call it.
You can bank on it.
Nuclear weapons in play.
I agree with you, Jeff. I got another call waiting, but I'll put you down as absolutely on the side of competency as the others are incompetent. Thank you so much.
Yep. And have a good day.
You bet, buddy. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Jeff.
Hello, Tony.
Schumer's roots are in with the Jewish people. And, he realizes that during World War II or prior to it, all the Jews were chased all over Europe and they were assassinated. And now they find this little spot and they're in danger of being assassinated again, and he's not going to let that happen.
Tony, you've been around this world a little longer than I have, and you've witnessed some of the good, bad, and the ugly of politics and eras gone by. I can't find one thing in that agreement that's going to benefit the United States. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. All this is it's a big charade for what's really going on in the background. Iran's going to keep stalling, and they're going to be building their nuclear weapons, and they've got lots of allies in the communist countries over there. And what they're out to do is destroy us no matter where we're at.
I agree.
We're in danger here on our own soil. We're in danger overseas.
By the way, one other point of interest here this morning, Tony, that goes along with this story and the seriousness of what's happening with our military, the recruits for the United States Army are down by 14% right now. That's a substantial number. Recruits are down in the United States Army. I do not have anything for the other services, but 14% is a relatively large number that recruits are not signing up.
Well, you brought that up. I was talking to a young GI yesterday at the mall, and a lot of these GIs are not willing to go to war for Barack Obama.
I have heard that from many that have called and asked to remain anonymous, and I respect that. Tony, thank you for your call. God bless you, man.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Don't forget our major sponsor. I've got a fly here. You ever have one of those flies that absolutely, they're not there until you start talking, and then all of a sudden, wait a minute, we got to do this on live radio. Stand by. I am issuing a death warrant, a fatwa against that. I missed him. Anyway, back to our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best tire value promise in the industry. Peace of mind tire protection and lifetime tire and mileage care. They've got a lot of their most popular tires on sale now, like the Eclipse all-season traction tire, smooth, quiet ride. And don't forget the very best in brake service. And I'm not kidding, the very best. They've worked on my brakes for my pickup, my horse trailer, you name it, they are good. A front end alignment, shocks and struts, tires, batteries, everything for your safe driving right there at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They really care. They put forth a great crew to serve you. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, my old buddy, the Seahawk fan, he's getting nervous for the season, Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, absolutely the best. You know, coming up next hour, I'm looking forward to the conversation with Doug Johnson in Colorado, and we got a lot of topics to cover with him. And then at 9:30, Alliance Defending Freedom with Carrie Kupek, pardon me. She's been on my air 100 times, and I called her by the wrong name. Sorry. We'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Oh, welcome back, Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday. Everybody back to work day. And, of course, brought to you with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Thank you very much, Les Schwab. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. Locally serving you with local people at Valleywide Home and Ranch in Rupert, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. The number to call and get on the route service so you can have your garbage go. Get away. It's gone. They're locally owned and operated, and they do the best in serving you. Always at your disposal. That is true. Western Waste Services. You call today at 734-6969. Western Waste Services, thank you very much. Hey, by the way, too, Ted's Diesel and Electric is moving. They're going to be moving to 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Doug Martin, he won some cinnamon rolls here early this morning. He knew the answer. Good job. He can rebuild starters, alternators, and generators, and also sells brand new. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Ted's Diesel and Electric, moving to 635 21st Street in Heyburn. By the way, before we get our guest on the air real quick, I also want to say thank you so much to Joel Heward and his staff and family at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Very, very flexible hours to better serve you and your family. When there's the passing of a loved one and everything is just thrown up in the air and you need to dot all the I's and cross all the T's and take care of everything, just call this number, 436-5636. 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, serving you and your family. Well, lo and behold, it's my buddy. Hello, Doug Johnson in Colorado. How are you?
Well, hello, Zeb. It's a interesting morning after this last week's debate, isn't it?
Well, first of all, let me clarify a couple of things you said. It was not a debate. It was a sham. It was nothing more than a question and answer period. That in itself was very loose. I talked about this in the first hour due to the fact that I'm not on Friday mornings. I'll make some statements, and I want you to issue a rebuttal or agreement to me. Number one, it was not a debate. I found it very offensive that some candidates were asked certain questions, others were not. I wanted to know the viewpoints on those questions from all of them. And also, my love affair with Fox News and Megyn Kelly in particular came to a screeching halt, and honestly, I think I'll put her under the bus this morning because I thought her comment and question to Donald Trump was snarky and low class. There, I've summed it up. What are your thoughts?
Okay, well, let's start with the first comment. It's not a debate. You're absolutely right. It's not a debate, and really what they need to do, with that many people, you really can't have a debate. It's not possible.
That's right.
What they should have had is all 17 candidates, and over a period of 2 or 3 nights for a couple hours a night, because nobody's going to sit there for 6 hours straight, simply have a list of questions and go through, and every candidate on that stage has to answer every one of those questions, because the voters have a right to hear what each person thinks about a given issue.
Amen.
We don't get to hear that, though. The moderators in any of these debates, Fox, CNN, or whoever moderates it, they choose who's going to answer what, and they come gotcha questions, and it's all a bunch of nonsense. And so my personal view is that it's not only not a debate, but it's handled very poorly. And until the group is winnowed down to a manageable group that you actually have a real debate, you shouldn't even call it that.
Absolutely.
Now, in reference to the issue regarding your comments about Fox.
Wait a minute. I've got a feeling. Let me say this. For some reason, because of that little smile and that little smirk that you started off with on this section of my statement, I have a tendency to think you're going to agree with me. Am I right or wrong?
Oh, absolutely, to a degree. And actually, I don't disagree at all, but I want to add to it. Because I think, and I would highly encourage people, and I know a lot of people don't, they'll listen to somebody on a show and they don't go read what they've written. And that's fine, but we cannot, if we spend an hour on this, we cannot cover the depth that's important. I would highly, highly encourage people to go read my Horse Sense blog article at horsesenseblog.com that I've just written on this, because I bring out some issues that are very important. Fox has been caught, and it has been proven that they lied and they were deceptive and unethical in what they did. They were out to get Donald Trump. Now, my point in my blog post, and I go into a lot of detail about what happened behind the scenes and such, my whole point is that setting aside entirely the issue between Megyn Kelly and Donald Trump and the question Brett Baer asked Donald Trump first before anything else was asked, it was terrible, and all these other things that were just gotcha moments trying to get Trump out of the race. The real point is this: the GOP establishment, for which Fox is a shill, and they were given, the big donors from the GOP gave orders to the GOP to have Fox take out Donald Trump. The fact is that those actions on the part of Fox and the GOP, and even the other candidates who have not defended Donald Trump's right to say what he said, boil down to simply this, Zeb. They boil down to the fact that the American voters are the ones who have a right to decide who's going to run for office and who's going to be elected. It's not up to some network. It's not up to some party. It's not up to anybody. It's up to the American people. And to try to push somebody out of the race, no matter who that is wrong. The American people should be able to decide. If the American people look at this and say, we can't stand Donald Trump, so we're not going to vote for him, fine. But let the American voters decide it. Don't decide it for us. And this is my outrage. And my outrage at the other candidates is that they're all out there saying Trump was wrong, and they're not really addressing it honestly. But the fact is, by saying that, they're not taking the stand our founders would say. Our founders would stand up. If you said something I don't agree with, I might not agree with you, but I'd stand up and say, I will die for Zeb's right to say that. Zeb has every right in the world to say it, whether I agree or not with him. That's what America's about. And this is what these candidates should be doing, but they're not. And so I take great offense both from the network, from the party, and even from the other candidates for the way they've handled this.
I'm not going to lump all of them into that negative last part of your dissertation, because I don't think all of them have come out and tried to sweep the dust over to the top of Trump so he goes out in the garbage. The ones that I saw go to the forefront, seriously, now you can debate this with me if you wish, but let's exclude Donald Trump from this portion of the conversation. I thought the following did excellent in making their remarks to the questions. Ted Cruz, in this order, by the way, Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee, and Ben Carson. And quite frankly, I saw a deer-in-the-headlight look from Jeb Bush through most of the debate, and the latest polls show that. He isn't even showing up in the top 5.
Yeah, no, Jeb Bush was terrible. I would agree with everything you said and add one more person who wasn't on the stage, and I would bet you would agree, but she wasn't allowed to be on the stage. That's Carly Fiorina.
Yeah, but wait a minute, though, Doug. Doug, I know, but in fairness to what I asked you, I was talking about that specific debate, because we haven't had a chance yet to share my thoughts with you on Carly. I will say this, and I want you to expand on it now that you brought it up. I think that Carly Fiorina overall outshadowed everyone and moved from a second tier to a first tier, and quite frankly, the polls are proving that I'm right.
No, I think you're right, and I think that hopefully the establishment who control the party will allow her into the next debate. Whether they will or not will remain to be seen. They would like to get rid of her, I think. But the fact is that, she definitely did well. I will say this, I've liked Carly a lot. I wrote her a note this weekend, very upset at the stand she took this weekend over what happened in the other debate that she wasn't in, and the issues with Trump and with Megyn Kelly. I think she took the wrong position. I wrote her a note and told her that.
I agree.
Because I think that, and let me back up to something you said as you started to respond to my previous comments. I agree. It's not all the candidates. There are a large number of them that have attacked Trump over what went on, but there are some who've either not commented or who have, like Ted Cruz, said, I'm not going to get into this. This is not what this is about. We need to be talking about the issues, and I think that's right. But for those who've spoken out against, I'm very disappointed in them. Now, going back to what your immediate question was, Zeb, I absolutely think you're right in the comments you made. I think, and I think people have forgotten just how good Mike Huckabee is on a stage. Mm-hmm. We saw him on his TV show on Fox. If people watch it, I watched it a little when he first went on, and I think that was very good for him. But what people don't realize about Mike Huckabee, not only is he very smart, and he can take a strong stand on an issue, but what is interesting is they don't remember that. Now, this man is an ordained minister. He spent years in the pulpit every Sunday preaching to a church. He is very, very accustomed to thinking on his feet and being up in front of a crowd. And when he is given the chance, he's extremely good at what he does, and I thought he shined. I thought Ben Carson was excellent. My greatest disappointment was that the people didn't get a fair chance and enough of a chance to speak. The fact that so much time was taken by the moderators talking and not given to candidates to speak, I think, was a great disappointment.
Yeah, and the way it was structured, excuse me, Doug, the way it was structured with they being Fox and the moderators asking questions of certain people for certain portions of a question, I didn't like it at all. I said first hour, and I'll stand behind this. I would have been better served if they would have gone to three categories. Let's say our national security, terrorism, and the economy, and the race issues in America. Let's use those as three issues right now. And taking the time to ask all of the candidates, all 10 in that top tier, the same question, because I had serious kind of investigatory viewpoints on how they would answer, but they picked and choose who would answer which, and I thought it was very poorly done.
Well, it was, and you're right. They all should have had a chance to answer, and I agree with you, and I think you should have picked some categories. My personal view was take and look at a poll from the American people and say, what are the most important issues? And just start at the top. Okay, this is what our polls show the most important issues to the voters is, so let's ask you about that. And then, go to the next one, and so on, and do as many as they can. And I think, they'd have to space it out over a number of different events because there wouldn't be time to do them all. But I think it is important that all candidates should have a chance to answer all the questions, not in fairness to the candidate, but in fairness to us voters who want to hear where each person stands.
There was one little dust-up. If you want to say it wasn't a debate, I would agree with you. It was not a debate up and through until Chris Christie and Rand Paul got into it. Now, that was a debate of some magnitude, and quite frankly, I don't know who you thought won, but I thought Christie rose above Rand Paul in that debate. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I, as much as I'm not a Christie fan, I think he definitely did. I think what we are seeing is between that and some things that happened over the weekend, I think we are starting to see the implosion of Rand Paul.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to last, and I think once he falls out of the race, which I suspect he will over the next month, who knows exactly when. But I suspect that given, just assuming for a moment everybody else is still in the race, I would suspect that his followers would most likely probably either go to Carly Fiorina or Ted Cruz. But I think he is going to fall out of the race, and because I think we're seeing things about him and his I hate to use the word personality, but for lack of better, that are not working well for him in the campaign.
Well, and Lindsey Graham I could put in the same vein. I think Lindsey Graham absolutely is spinning his wheels in the sand. Another person that should drop out. Your thoughts on Lindsey Graham?
Well, it's funny because Lindsey Graham, of course, has been around the Senate forever and a day, and I've heard him on talk shows before and heard him interviewed. I mean, I don't agree with him on most things, but what I found interesting is listening to him in that debate, I thought to myself, he was virtually a monotone, and I wondered how he could even think he's going to survive a campaign and how he's been in the Senate so long. It amazed me. And I thought he was very poor, and as poor as Jeb Bush was, I thought Lindsey Graham was harder to listen to than Jeb Bush was. Mm-hmm. They were, in my mind, the two worst candidates on the stage.
I want to ask you about something else, Doug, because we've only got about 7 minutes left. Last week, I was appalled, and I'm not using that as theatrics. I was appalled at Hillary Clinton going on the Al Sharpton show on MSNBC. One of the lowest class individuals, I think, in America today, a sleaze artist, nothing more than a race baiter and hater, Al Sharpton. And sitting there giggling and laughing and giving her views and his views regarding Planned Parenthood. It was one of the worst sleazy interviews that I have ever heard, and I think people should become cognizant of really how low-class Hillary Clinton is. Your thoughts?
Well, I didn't see it. I have no idea what was said or discussed, but I've always thought she was a low-class individual, so it's easy to agree without even seeing it. And, Al Sharpton is what he is. He's a race-baiting hustler, and the sad part is the White House has chosen him to be the representative from the black community that they turn to, and that's pretty sick.
And Doug, you can comment on this because I know you're prepared on this subject, and I know you'll probably write a blog on it, but I think you will agree with me that over the course of the last 3 to 4 months specifically, there has been a movement in this country where minorities, namely in this case the blacks, are baiting the police, trying to disobey the law, disobey the orders from police, pushing police to the nth degree, actually pushing police into a corner and trying to defy what they say. And then when something happens, it's all the police fault. We're seeing it again in Ferguson, Missouri, unfortunately. Another shooting. And the police should not be subjected to being targets. They fired back. They got the 19-year-old. He is now in critical condition, but yet the police are under fire with the news media. Your thoughts?
No, I agree with you, and I think what we're seeing in the way our government handles these things, meaning the federal government, is just continued efforts to start to push things to the point where they will nationalize the police force. That's I think, what they want to do, and I think it's really bad news for America to head that way. So I think you're right, and I think, what's sad is that when Barack Obama was elected, and neither you nor I fell for his rhetoric from day one, but when he was elected, he had the opportunity to raise the level of discussion in America and to change things. He had an opportunity that no president before him has ever had, because no president before him was black. And he could have used these situations to bring America together, and instead he's used them to divide the country. And sadly, I am sure what has just happened in Ferguson will be used by this White House, this administration, once again to do more work at dividing the country.
One last thought this morning, Doug, is the Iranian nuclear deal, which I think is a sham and a farce. And I am encouraged when I see people, and it's hard for me to give praise to a Democrat, especially someone like Chuck Schumer, but Chuck Schumer of New York said blatantly he is going to vote no on the Iranian nuclear deal, and this might cause some of the other dominoes on the Democratic side to fall.
Well, yeah, I had heard a few weeks ago that, of course, the Jewish community has great pressure over him, and Israel does too. That's how he stays in office, is the Jewish voters in his area, and he was under great pressure. And once he was assured, this is internally within Congress, once he was assured the votes were there to support the president, and he could look good by voting against it, is when he finally took his stand. So I give him credit for taking the stand, but I do it cautiously because, as usual, there's always two sides to the issue. It's the same thing that Mitch McConnell and John Boehner do on the Republican side. They get things lined up the way they want it to go, then they vote in a way that looks right to their constituents, but behind the scenes they're working against the American people. And so I think it's good that he's doing it, but I sadly don't think he's probably doing it for the right reasons. He's just doing it to gain votes.
One quick thing, too, also on this Iranian nuclear deal. I've read as much as I can regarding the so-called agreement and or treaty, whichever they want to term it. Doug, I consider myself to be halfway educated and study hard politics. I don't see one thing in there that is a benefit to us or our allies. Nothing.
Well, I have not read the agreement. I've seen it, the whole 159 pages of it, but I've not read through it. But from what I understand, there is nothing there. I'm sure that this administration looks at it as being good because it will help take down America. What they don't embrace is what we do, which is America in the vision of our founders. They embrace an America that has been torn down, that is a communist nation controlled by an elite few, and that's where they're trying to head us. And I think they see this as one more step in that direction. And I think it is, because something that Benjamin Netanyahu pointed out recently, which is when he was speaking to a group of American Jews, he pointed out that Iran is working on building intercontinental ballistic missiles to attack the United States. And as he said to them, they don't need them to attack Israel. They have missiles that can already reach Israel. They're building these to destroy America.
That's right.
Israel is seen as the little Satan. America is the great Satan. And Iran wants to destroy America and Israel. And to to turn a blind eye to this or to knowingly turn away from this or ignore this, in my book, very, very bluntly, that is nothing short of treason.
Absolutely. You know, Doug, I just absolutely hate to have that clock go so fast when you're on the air. I look forward to having you on. You're a dear friend, author of the Horse Sense blog, Doug Johnson in Colorado. Take care, my dear friend, and we will look forward to next week.
Thanks, Zeb. I'll look forward to it.
All right, sir. God bless. Very, very nice man right there, Doug Johnson in Colorado, and I appreciate his political viewpoints, and he does have a very interesting blog called the Horse Sense blog. Oh, my, let's pay some bills. The Cassia County Fair and Rodeo and all the merchants that are saying, come on to the Cassia County Fair, August 17th through the 22nd. And some of them include Magic Valley Irrigation Supply, 44 East, 500 South of Burley, 678-3101. I hope I've got that number right because it's not typed correctly on this piece of paper. I hope I've got it. Anyway, don't forget Magic Valley Irrigation Supply with Jeff and the crew at Magic Valley Irrigation. And they've been offering irrigation system service and repair since 1978. Magic Valley Irrigation Supply. And along with AMI, 1719 Overland and Burley, 678-4632. Yep, they say go nuts over our bolts. Look for the big 28-foot wrench over the door. And they say good luck to all the participants in the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. And last but not least, Burley Glass, 1029 Overland and Burley, 678-1459 with our good old buddy, Gentle Ben. You better believe it, all the best in windows, the best in garage doors and openers and door frames, everything right there at Burley Glass, 1029 Overland in Burley. Thank you very much to all of those great merchants helping supply information and encouragement to attend the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. You know, the other day, on the program last Thursday, we had Nick from over to Let's Ride. There is one of the nicest guys, and I say it a lot, and I've said it in the past, that it's on account of Nick over at Let's Ride that we got four-wheelers and really have enjoyed every minute of them. Absolutely. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn, where the fun is sold. Holy smokes. You better get on in. Get on in, and just remember, coming up this fall, all the hunting, and just getting up and enjoying the fall colors and everything. Oh boy, they've got the ATVs for you. Absolutely huge selection right there at Let's Ride. Along with all the accessories, and if you've got four-wheelers and you need to get them all taken care of, super service department as the horns go off and scare me to death. Okay. Thank you, Wheels. And don't forget, they can help you at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn, where the fun is sold. Really good folks. We're going to have Kerry Kupek on the air with us in just a minute. Stand by for that. But I also want to remind you, if you're over there on Highway 24 going into Rupert, oh my goodness, you're going to go right by Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Yep, there they are with the best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They can and will help you. So get a hold of them today. Very accessible and devoted in serving you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call for an appointment is 436-4424. You call them today. I absolutely look forward to Mondays and conversations with the Alliance Defending Freedom. And this lovely lady has been so nice and so gracious to come on our program almost week after week, and I really do thank her. I know she's got such a busy schedule. Good morning to the Legal Communications Director, Kerry Kupek. Good morning, Kerry. How are you?
Well, thanks for that introduction, Zeb. Good morning to you as well.
I thought maybe all of a sudden you had left me hanging in the great broadcasting wilderness there for a minute.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Kerry, before we get started on some of the subject matter for today, I know that I've got an email that says you were at the Red State Gathering in Atlanta. Would you tell me a little bit about what it was and what it was hoping to achieve?
Yeah, it was really interesting. It was a lot of fun, and apparently it was the largest to date gathering in Georgia history of potential candidates for the presidency of the United States. So we got to hear almost all of the candidates, the candidates for the GOP nomination that debated on Thursday night. We heard from all of them live. And Red State is run by Eric Erickson, and it's a political blog. It has a lot of great contributors, and they do a lot of good things. So this is hosted by Red State, and Salem Media owns Red State. And, so they brought together all the different candidates and some other sessions with some public thinkers and contributors to different news stations, and it was really interesting.
Let me ask you, Carrie, and you've always been on this program, and when I've seen you on television, etc., very, very knowledgeable about what's going on. Honestly, what did you think of that question from Megyn Kelly of Fox News to Donald Trump the other night in the so-called debate? I personally thought it was snarky and low-class. What did you think?
The question that she posed to him?
No, yes, the question that Megyn Kelly gave to Trump.
And not the comment that he made in response. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. It's so funny. I was actually doing another radio interview this morning. They asked me the same question. Here's how I look at it. So I'm from New York originally. So I grew up listening to the Donald just say a lot of things about all kinds of issues. The reality is, though, now he's running for president of the United States, and so he's gone on the record as saying, he's an over-the-top kind of character, and he has said some things that people find controversial, and some statements where he has gone too far. So, regardless of, I think, the tone of the question, he has sort of put himself out there. He's running for President of the United States. This is a very serious situation, the leader of the free world. And so if you're going to go on record making statements like the kinds that he does, he's got to be prepared for some very tough questions and response. And so I kind of think that I think it's appropriate for these reporters or moderators to kind of put him on the spot a little bit and ask him things because of the way that he puts himself out there. So to me, I understand where people are coming from and thinking, wow, maybe it was too much. But the reality is, look what he does all the time. He's a bit of a showman, and he loves pushing people's buttons. So it's sort of to be expected that he's going to get asked something that's, maybe a little bit more intense or direct than someone else might get.
I didn't personally like the debate, and I don't even like to call it a debate. It was a pre-selected question and answer period. I did not like the fact that they did not ask the same question to all the potential candidates at the podiums. But that being said, I think that they really missed the boat on a lot of the current issues that are going on in this country and around the globe, especially on Planned Parenthood. I think that is a question that should have been directed to each and every individual and not just a select few. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. I do. I know it came up. I think it came up, what was it, one or two times, right, during the debate? I know it was asked. It came up at some point, and I can't remember if it was the moderator asking the question or if they were just responding. Now, what's interesting, though, I will tell you this. At the Red State gathering, Planned Parenthood was a huge topic of discussion. They had a couple of sessions devoted just to talking about that, and almost all of the candidates made comments about it. In fact, I think it was Marco Rubio at Red State where he said, you know what the question that needs to be asked is to the Democrats. Are you willing to shut down the government in order to fund Planned Parenthood? He said, why is no one asking the Democrats that? We hear the other way around. The Republicans want to shut down the government in order to stop funding Planned Parenthood. But the reality is it's really the reverse. Are the Democrats willing to shut down the government in order to keep funding a billion-dollar abortion empire who engages in the habit of butchering and dissecting babies and trafficking their parts for resale? Why is no one asking that?
Yeah, and I totally agree with you there, and I want to kind of turn it over to the left side right now. Last week, Hillary Clinton was on the absolutely disgusting Al Sharpton show on MSNBC, and laughing and giggling and going tee-hee, answering his questions, and then being very, I think, defensive of Planned Parenthood. And if that's the kind of leadership that we're looking for on the left side of the aisle with Hillary Clinton, she leaves most America wanting, I believe. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. And it's a shame because, what was it, 2 weeks ago, she said something about the videos being disturbing, which they are, and talked about, not just Planned Parenthood, but any organization that would engage in this kind of dissection and resale and trafficking of hearts and lungs and livers of babies. Well, yeah, we need to take a look at that. And I think I read somewhere that someone said the polls must be actually showing that Americans are horrified justifiably by these videos, and she's reacting and sort of reflecting those. But then for her to turn around and come out the following week and just seem to undermine everything she had said. It's really, again, what's interesting to me is I think one of my colleagues said, what should be asked to the candidates, the Democratic candidates especially, is have you watched the videos? Not just because I don't know if you've noticed, a lot of them are saying, well, I've seen a picture of the videos, I know of the videos. Josh Earnest with the White House is always saying things like, oh, the president's aware. Well, we want to know, have you watched the videos? And if you haven't, why not?
Yeah.
And the reason we ask why not is because you are routing millions of taxpayer dollars to this billion-dollar abortion empire. You get all these campaign contributions. So don't you think it's your duty, you have to exercise due diligence in investigating and at least watching these things that are taking America by storm, especially when you are, funding them, especially when you're using our money to fund them, especially when you're taking campaign contributions from them. And so I would love to see that. I would love to see more of the Democratic candidates just really put on the spot. Have you watched the videos, and if you haven't, why not?
Let me ask you this question. Since about the last 3 weeks, when you and I on this program have been talking about these disgusting videos and the sale of baby parts and the partial birth abortion, etc., what has been, in your opinion, the national outcry? I understand that 3 states, Alabama, along with Louisiana and New Hampshire, are going along to defund Planned Parenthood. What is the snowball effect that's going on right now, Carrie?
I think the reason these videos have just produced the horror that they have, well, it's looking at evil. Yeah. We're looking at evil, and I think it's the callous nature with which these Planned Parenthood's top executives and officials are discussing the crushing and the crunching and the altering of abortion procedures in order to preserve the hearts and the lungs and the livers for sale. The joking about wanting a Lamborghini in terms of, well, we can get this amount of money and, I want a Lamborghini, or the fact that in that last video the executive said something to the effect of, well, we can get creative. Oh, you want those body parts? Well, we can quote-unquote get creative in how we do the abortion. And then there was talk in that same video of performing the abortion in such a way where they delivered the baby intact as to be able to, generate the most amount of body parts. And it's so sickening. So, of course, people are responding in a horrified way. And the reality is, though, if this doesn't get to people, I don't know what will. It doesn't get much worse than this. And and more videos are going to be coming out. Yeah. We're going to see a battle over this in September when Congress is back in session. And it's going to be interesting to see. The reality is, if members of Congress feel pressure enough from their constituents, they're going to act. They will do something about this. And this shouldn't be a partisan issue. This is not a Republican or a Democratic issue. This is a life issue. This is what does this say about us as a nation issue? What does this say about what we value? It's really interesting to see what happens, especially when Congress goes back into session.
I will say this, and I want your response on this. I can understand Alabama. I can understand Louisiana defunding Planned Parenthood. I was a little bit more than shocked when I read New Hampshire, because that is a very blue state, a very Democratic state, and you would think they would fall in lockstep behind the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton, etc. I was shocked about New Hampshire. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it was, but it's a great sign. I think it goes back to what I was just saying. This really should not be about a Republican, Democrat, or partisan thing. It's not. I think any reasonable, intellectually honest human being with even a trace of a conscience who watches even 5 minutes of these videos has to be changed in their heart if they were typically, previously rooting money, taxpayer money, to this organization. And how could they not be? You're looking at evil in its face. It's sort of like looking at those pictures from the Holocaust. We're all those images are all imprinted on our minds as 2015 Americans. Those pictures of the people in the concentration camps and the Allies went to liberate them, and the descriptions we have of what was going on in the experimentation on the human body and the body parts there, like this gruesome, sick component. How can you shake that? And so I think that anybody who watches these videos knows that the right thing to do is to immediately stop funding an organization that would engage in such barbaric practices, that talks about it in such a callous way. So I think the New Hampshire situation is really, it was great, and I think it really just reflects the reality of what it means to be confronted with an actual visual image in front of your face. You can't deny it. So I hope to see more of the same.
Absolutely. And I understand that the issues with Planned Parenthood are now going across the water into Europe, and we're hearing about possible defunding over there, too. Explain that just a little bit, if you would, please.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So a member of the European Parliament has submitted written questions to the European Commission asking them a number of things. They're saying, okay, are you which is going back to what I said earlier, are you aware of the videos produced by the Center for Medical Progress? Are you going to condemn Planned Parenthood's actions and suspend funding until the U.S. authorities complete a thorough investigation? And this last question is an interesting one. Apparently right now there is something called One of Us, and it's a European citizen grassroots initiative where these citizens are advocating for the Commission to end funding of embryonic stem cell research. And so that's an issue going on over there right now, and they're asking this Commission, are you going to prevent Planned Parenthood joining this lawsuit? And the rationale being, you should. Clearly they have a really kind of sick vested interest. They are profiting off the sale of babies' hearts and lungs and livers, so they shouldn't be prevented from engaging in a lawsuit, like advocating for the taxpayer funding of embryonic stem cell research. And so anyway, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. The European Commission takes about 6 weeks to provide answers typically to these letters, and we will see what happens.
Carrie, every time you're on my program, I just sit back and marvel. You are absolutely excellent in telling the story the way it is and the way it's meant to be told. Thank you so much for what you do. And please tell my audience how they can find out more from Alliance Defending Freedom.
Well, thanks, Deb. I appreciate you saying that. They can go to adflegal.org. It's a one-stop shop. They can find out all of our other cases, and we have a page right now on adflegal.org that is called Planned Parenthood, the whole story, and there are action items for your listeners to get involved in should they want to. They can sign a petition with respect to defunding Planned Parenthood. They can find the numbers for Idaho senators there. They can look at businesses that are currently giving money to Planned Parenthood and ways to contact them to ask them to stop. And there are a whole other number of things they can get involved and do.
All right.
In this effort.
Where are you off to next week? Are you going to have a very mundane, boring week in the office?
Actually, I'm going on vacation next week, and I'm going on a cruise with my mother.
Oh, my goodness. What kind of a cruise are you going to take?
We're leaving out of New York, and we're going down to the Bahamas and some other islands.
With your mom. I think that's wonderful. Has she ever been on a cruise?
My mother, my brother, and sister-in-law.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Family on a cruise. That can be a good and it can be a bad thing, Carrie.
Yeah, I'll have to let you know how it goes.
God bless you. Thanks for being on the program.
Thanks so much.
All right.
I appreciate you.
Take care. Thank you very much. Very, very nice lady. Carrie Kupek with Alliance Defending Freedom. And she's going on a cruise. I don't blame her. Hey, it's time for the weather. And the weather is brought to us this hour by Duck Uglies, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Now, you know what I don't tell you enough of? They serve breakfast. And it's absolutely fantabulous. I'll tell you what, they've got those breakfast burritos. Knock your boots off. Delicious. And then, of course, all through the week, the great menu choices. And on Friday nights and Saturday nights, look out, ribeye special on Friday nights. Look out, ribs on Saturday night. And great entertainment at Duck Ugly's, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. You stop in today. All right, now, here's the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we enter on into another work week. Partly cloudy skies for today. We do have a slight chance of afternoon rain showers or thunderstorms. Pretty typical for this time of year. Slightly breezy as well. Winds out of the southeast right around 11 miles an hour. Expect a high of 88 for today. Tonight, low of 60. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny skies. High of 90 with an overnight low of 63. And that type of weather is going to stick with us as we move through the week and on into the weekend. Expect partly to mostly sunny skies. Highs in the upper 80s to low 90s. That's your weather forecast for Zebeth the Rain.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And Duck Ugly's, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley, bringing you the weather this hour. What a great place to eat and enjoy some great music, too, at Duck Ugly's. You know what? Calls are welcome. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about for the next couple of minutes, so give me a jingle, please. And I'd like to hear your opinions. One story that I found in the USA Today, and I realize I might be one of a minority here, but I doubt it. But this story was like on 5 or 6 in the business and finance section of the USA Today, and it said, here's the headline, and I want to get your opinion on this. Millennials find it cool to move in with mom and dad. What? That just solidifies what I've said for a long, long time, that the millennials not only are lazy, most of them, not all of them, for young adults 18 to 34, but they're not willing to take any risk, they're not willing to take any responsibility, and they want to move in with mommy and daddy. The percentage of millennials living with their parents increased from 24% in 2010 to 26% in the first third of 2015. And here's what they blame it on. They say that young adults are not establishing more households, and that's proving to be one of the drags on the housing recovery and the larger economy. And they're afraid to take their own responsibility and go out and meet life head on and try to conquer it on their own terms. Cowards. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you today?
Good. What do you think about this? Mommy and daddy can't get rid of the kids.
Well, it's an epidemic going across the United States. Sheer laziness is. We've got a lot of government-assisted programs, and basically the leaders of this country right now are projecting that it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to not be able to provide for yourself and your family, or to start a family where I think that we should cut it down and leave it to a 30-day minimum on every assisted program to maybe give a helping hand, but for 30 days, and then you're on your own.
Yeah. Well, I've given it as much as 90. The first month, we're going to let you go out and start to find a job. Second month, you better be prepared. And at the beginning of month number 3, you are on your own. And something else that I want to tie into this. There seems to be a big push right now. Oh, little Johnny and Susie, they're not getting enough sleep. And we need to start school later in the morning so that they can get their 9 hours of sleep. What are your thoughts on this? I know you're a parent, and what do you think about giving the kids more sleep and really taking away their own personal responsibility to get up and learn how to take care of themselves, and when they graduate, go out and get a job and be self-reliant and stay on that job on time?
And, in all reality, if you're going to be self-reliant and an adult and contribute to society, I know I don't get 9 hours of sleep. I know my boy don't get 9 hours of sleep, and you can't rely your whole self-being on how much sleep you get. You got to get up and go after it.
There you go. There you go. Thank you for your call. Say hello to Wiley and have a great day, okay?
You bet.
All right, buddy. Thank you. This absolutely disgusts me. I talked to a teacher yesterday, a teacher that I have a lot of respect for. And I mentioned about how some of these schools are saying, oh, the poor little kids are not getting enough sleep. Why? We can't start school until 8:30. We can't start school until 9 o'clock. Why? We've got to give these little darlings more sleep. Where are the parents? Where is the parental responsibility? And what are you teaching these kids by letting them sleep in and stay up late longer in the evening, do whatever they want? Well, we don't have to worry about getting up for school. It doesn't start till 9 o'clock. We're not teaching them any responsibility, are we? Or am I wrong? Give me a call, please. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I don't think it's the kids that's wanting to push it back. I think it's the teachers.
Why do you say that?
Well, I know some teachers.
How come you're being so quiet all of a sudden? You're avoiding my answer. Give me a quick answer. Come on.
Well, I think it's the teachers. Really, I do, because they want their relaxation. They want the life, the easy living, happy lifestyle, the utopia type,
My first class, Doug, started in high school at 8:06, and woe betide you if you were late.
And we had two classes starting. We had one at 8 and one at 7. And if you played sports, you started at 7.
Yep.
So if you want 9 hours of sleep, go to bed before midnight.
I have no sympathy for these kids. I have no sympathy for their parents. I have no sympathy for the teachers that want later. I mean, my goodness, we're not teaching them any responsibility. And I'll tell you what, if you get a job later on, the boss is going to dictate when you're there.
Exactly. You're not teaching the children anything by letting them just do as they wish and as they want.
Amen.
You need to set some rules. You need to set standards. And this is what life's going to be like, so let's start learning what life
And there's always going to be crybabies in every situation, but just hand them a crying towel and tell them to dry their eyes. I couldn't care less.
Tell them to put on their big boy pants or big girl pants, or can't say that. Just put on their big pants.
You say whatever you want to on this program. All right, Doug, thank you much. All right. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, the school district started this several years ago, not starting their classes later, but giving them 3-day weekends. That's what irritates me, only having a 4-day school, classrooms, because they get a 3-day weekend everywhere they go. And when they come to work out here, they're going to expect a 3-day weekend, and that's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people.
The judge and jury, in my opinion, on 4-day school days, or 4-day school weeks is still out. I haven't really formed a final opinion on that. I will say that I think I'm against it, 60-40 right now. But as far as starting later because little Johnny and Susie aren't getting enough rest, to me that is simply hogwash. I think it's nothing more than a crutch, and I think it's nothing more but, again, another knock on personal responsibility.
Well, I agree with that. The 4-day school week, they do have to start a little bit earlier. I think they're starting classes at 7:45 or 7:30, somewhere in there, and they're going a little bit later to get the hours in, but they expect a 3-day weekend everywhere they go, and it's just not going to happen.
Life is not like a 3-day weekend. Life is not like getting time off. Life is not like, oh, gee, Johnny, I'm sorry you're late this morning. We'll change the school starting time so you can get more sleep. Life ain't like that, my friend.
Well, they're not going to get more sleep anyway. If they're starting later, that means they'll be up later.
Yeah.
They're not going to go to bed by 9 o'clock to be able to get their 9 hours.
Every time you start changing the rules for people that are crybabies and wannabes, you end up in a mess. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, Zeb. Keep firing. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. Have a good day. I just am totally against that. Oh, everybody, you can't get enough sleep. Hey, hang on, caller. I'll be right there. I got to get this on real quick. The Cassia County Fair and Rodeo is going to be August 17th through the 22nd. But coming up this next weekend on Saturday, the Dan and Shay concert at the fairgrounds. Concert starts at 8 p.m. Get your tickets now. All you have to do is call the fair office at 678-9150. Don't forget the big concert coming up this next Saturday as a kickoff for the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. The big concert this next Saturday at 8 p.m. Caller, real quick. I've only got a minute left. Go ahead.
Yeah, Sam, my time, we grew up earlier than the other kids now. At my time, when I was just a little devil, I threw a saddle on the horse and had to go to the hills and check on the cattle. And then when I turned 17, I joined the Navy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I hate to cut you off, Fred, but I got to go to the news, but I want to say this to you. When you and I were growing up, we had chores and work to do before that school bus pulled up in front of our place, and we couldn't sleep in, and that's what I think these kids are lacking today.
You got it.
All right, my friend. God bless you. Good to hear from you, Fred. Take care. Thank you.
You do the same.
All right, we got to run to the news right now from CBS, and we'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow morning in the first hour. I just absolutely don't want to make any changes, just to let little Johnny and Susie sleep in a little bit, and or the teachers too. We'll have more tomorrow morning, but don't forget, coming up right after CBS News, we're going to have Alethea Larson from Media Research Center on, and then at 10:30 this morning, Charmy Laval. We're going to be back. Don't you go away. In that little musical piece, I love listening to that piano in there. Man, that's good music. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch, back for hour number 3 with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Lush Swamp Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you. Thank you very much. Along with some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service today, 734-6969. And don't forget Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Oh, by the way, he's moving. Yep, head him up, move him out. Ted's Diesel and Electric, moving to 635 21st Street in Hayburn on Alfresco Road. Doug Martin, and he can rebuild your starters, alternators, generators, everything from lawnmowers to locomotives. Good man, Ted's Diesel and Electric, moving to 635 21st Street in Hayburn. And by the by, also, let us not forget, of course, our friends at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. What is the special for today? Well, it's even with fanfare, with trumpets. The orange chicken on spring mix salad with soup. Oh, that sounds good. Oh, that sounds nice and refreshing. Orange chicken on spring mix salad with soup at the Chadwick Sports Grill, along with all the other great menu choices at 139 West Main in Burley. Delicious. Absolutely. Let's see, we've got one other little message, and then I'll be right with you. Don't forget, too, the Gooding County Fair and Rodeo, going to be August 17th through the 22nd. Holy cow, are they going to have some ripping good fun. And, of course, the rodeo is going to take place on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And it's their 90th anniversary of their great rodeo over at Gooding, at the Gooding County Fair and Pro Rodeo. So don't you miss it. Don Gill and the rest of the crew over there at Gooding, going to be a ripping good time, and they're going to have a super rodeo, too, in the Andy James Arena with the stock from the Summit Rodeo Company, Corco Rodeos, and C5 Rodeo Company. Going to be a lot of fun at your Gooding County Fair and Pro Rodeo. Right now, let's go to the phone lines, and I really want to say thank you to this lady because she came on really at short notice. And good morning, and I'm going to say the name, and if I say it wrong, I want you to correct me. Alethea Larson. Is that fairly close?
That is absolutely on point.
You're kidding me.
So good job.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to put a little gold star up on the wall behind me, if you don't mind. Thank you very much. How are you this morning?
You absolutely deserve it. I mean, I get Alicia all the time, Alicia, but you are perfect. So you deserve, a ton of gold stars.
Oh, I'm going to treat myself to a dessert at lunch. All right. Now, I am a big proponent of not having an increase in the minimum wage. I don't believe in it. I think everybody should work and get wages on their own merit and not a forced minimum wage increase. And I'm also very leery about everybody knowing who and what they make for income. You wrote a very interesting story, and I got to tell you, I have not had a chance to read it in its entirety because it was on my desk after I had already started this program. And tell us a little bit about the media ignoring their own wage gap guilt, a story that you had written.
So a little bit of background. The reason this is being talked about, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, just approved a new rule that is going to require companies to, quote, disclose the ratio between their chief executive's annual compensation and median employee pay. So basically, companies are now going to have to say, all right, this is our CEO's salary, and then this is what our average employee makes, and this is the ratio difference between that. And, I'm sure all your listeners know, the media really, really pushes and supports increased minimum wage, calling it a living wage, and talking about bringing the minimum wage up to $15 and really hyping that and making it a big deal and, explaining all of the things that, this would be really good because people would make more money and things like that, without going in and, talking about the difficulties of that, the economic impacts where it's, going to keep some people out of getting jobs in the first place. And then also something else that they talk a lot about is the quote-unquote wage gap and income inequality, and just talking about the difference between CEO pay and average employee pay. So when the SEC came out with this rule, USA Today published an article of 9 CEOs who were paid, it was basically the 9 CEOs that had the largest gap, quote-unquote, between their pay and their average employee pay. And of those 9, 3 of them were, media CEOs. There was Dan Zaslav, who's the CEO of Discovery Communications, Les Moonves, the CEO of CBS, and then Robert Marcus, who's the CEO of Time Warner, which actually owns CNN. And so, the media will go on and on and on about how terrible it is that CEOs are making so much more money than their employees, and that CEOs should cut their own pay and pay their people more, but they completely ignore that it's, their own CEOs that are doing this.
I listened to what you just said, and it raises my ire. It gets me very, very upset because this is nothing more than just income equality. This is nothing more than having us be a classless system. This is nothing more than shaming people that have worked hard to become CEOs to disclose their income and then cause internal turmoil for those that are down the ladder on the income chain. What are your thoughts? What are the real reasons as to why this is being done?
I haven't looked in so much into the reasons why people are making such a big deal out of it, why, but I think a lot of it comes down to people
really just being uneducated, and in some ways being uneducated by the media. Because, for example, back in April, Dan Price, who is the CEO of Gravity Payments, it's a credit card processing company out of Seattle, he decided that he was going to just on his own, within his own company, have a minimum salary for all of his employees of $70,000, and he was going to do this over a 3-year period. And when he made that decision, the media just flipped out, and they were praising him. They were so excited, and they couldn't get enough of this story. But what was interesting is in their coverage of that story, they covered it like within a couple days after he made that decision. There was almost 20 minutes of coverage, and only 20 seconds of that was them, talking about the cons, basically, to this concept, or not even that, but just why it might not work for everyone. And so the problem with discussing, income inequality and talking about, CEOs making so much more than their lowest paid employees is that people don't understand why that's how basic economics works. If you just sit back and you don't actually think through the logic of it, sure, why can't I make as much as my CEO? Why can't we all make, $200,000 minimum every year? Because it sounds great. It sounds fantastic. But in reality, it doesn't work. And the problem with the media is they're the ones who are, picking the stories that are going to get told and picking the way the stories are going to be told. And they're consistently making the decision not to explain, why certain people, earn less than other people, why certain jobs don't pay as much, the difference between skill sets that are required, or education, or, the level of risk involved in the decision that you're making, or the people that you're responsible for. And those are all things that factor in to, how much a person's going to make, that the media doesn't take the time to explain. They don't even talk about it. All they'll talk about is, people need to be paid more money. They're not making enough money, without explaining exactly why not everyone can make the same amount of money, or even asking that question.
We're looking at a media that is extremely left-bent in this country, Alethea, and I get really upset at the media because they're generalizations and everything on a liberal slant. You just summed up what some of my talking points were going to be in a question to you. These CEOs, they have gone through their education. They have taken the risk. They are under the scrutiny of the entire board of directors of a respective company. They have gained the knowledge to lead that company, to grow that company, to be able to hire more employees, to be able to pay more. They are involved in the company growth so that more people can share in the wealth, but yet the media wants them to lay down and bare their chest and actually turn them into whipping boys because they have a salary as they lead the company toward success. It makes no sense to me.
No, you're absolutely right. And, like you said, it's the people at the top of the company that are responsible for what happens to that company. If a company makes a bad decision, who gets the flack? It's not, it's not the person making, $30,000, $40,000 a year who's, at the bottom. It's going to be the CEO. He's the one who answers for it because he's the one who's responsible for all of that.
What about, though, the changing of the media? When you were doing this story about the media ignoring their own wage gap, Gil, what about changing? How do we get the media to be more fair and balanced? And I'm not promoting Fox News when I say that, but how do we get the media to be more fair and balanced and, quite frankly, in the days of Huntley and Brinkley, tell the news as the news is, not as they want it to be?
Honestly, I think, right now, the only way that we're going to be able to do that is to be able to look at the stories that are being told and evaluate them. And I mean, that's the entire purpose of Media Research Center, where I work. And we watch the news, and yes, you're absolutely right. It's incredibly left-leaning. It's biased. But the only way to combat that is to look at the stories that they're telling and come back with the facts and say, no, that, in this story, they're not asking the right questions, or they're not explaining all of the people who are involved, or, they're being just blatantly biased in this particular story. So actually a great thing to do is actually to read newsbusters.org. That's where all of my business posts go. I work for the business department at MRC. But that's where a lot of the media watchdogging kind of happens, where, if the media is telling a story and they're telling it wrong, it's going to come up on there, and that's where we're going to be talking about it. And it's just really a matter of staying educated and asking questions. And if you hear something on the news, not to just take it and believe everything you hear.
Absolutely. There is...
And really understand and try to figure out what's actually going on and say, hey, is this person biased? Do they have connections that, they're not disclosing? Or, is this the only side to this story?
I will say this, Alethea, that I think this is just another axe-wielding attempt to destroy capitalism in this country. I see this every day, and I'm not going to be corrected on this. I see a major attempt, whether it's through the George Soroses of the world or whomever, to downplay, degrade, and eventually decapitate capitalism, and that's why this story has taken traction. Would you agree with me on that?
I would, yes. Capitalism really is, seen as the bad guy right now. That's how the media portrays it. And, unless there's going to be people who are going to combat that and say, no, it's not the bad guy. And, really explain the basic economics. The media is still going to keep portraying it as the bad guy. And more people are unfortunately going to believe that.
Absolutely. I really appreciate your coming on the program and talking about this. And again, my thanks, and I mean this, for a last-minute notice and coming on the program and talking about your story and about what's happening with the wages, with our CEOs. Alethea Larson from MRC, thank you so much for being on the program this morning.
Thank you, Zeb. It was a pleasure.
All right. Thank you. Come back again, please. Very enjoyable.
Right.
There is absolutely a major play in this country to, I think, destroy capitalism. I think to absolutely try to lay bare what someone makes and then go after them and criticize them. Well, so-and-so with this company makes this much money. Well, that's not fair. Look at the wages and the wage earners are only this much for these people. Baloney. You look at any company, the brains and the brawn of a company. You look at what the risk factors are. You look at what the knowledge factors are. You look at what the company growth factors are. You look at how much time, effort, and labor was put into making that company and helping that company grow so that they could hire more people. And I don't think it's right in any way, shape, or form to lay bare to the public as criticism what those company leaders earn. I don't think that's right at all. Your thoughts? I've got some time. I'd like to have your opinion on that. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. While I'm waiting for your call on this subject, I want to remind you, too, on Thursdays we have a segment called Cassia County School Days. That really has been an outstanding segment, and I want to say thanks again to Debbie Critchfield for all of her work. Well, we have two great big sponsors, A Child's World World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And, oh, they've got everything for the wee ones. Yeah, the little babies. They got all the cribs. They've got all the clothing. They've got all the toys. They've got everything right there at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And also Ambulatory Surgery Center, the other sponsor for our school days in Cache County. And, of course, they're located at 1344 Highland in Burley. And the number to call and get information on surgeries that you may need, and they can save you money, 677-8888. That's right, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center, along with A Child's World, bringing you school days in Cache County. All right, it's your turn. Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. You know, really, what you make is none of my business. What the owner, proprietor, CEO of a company makes is none of my business. And I just really get offended when people say, well, I want to know how much money you make. I want to know how much money you pay your employees. Wait a minute. Stop the bus, Gus. That is an infringement on privacy concerns, and I don't think in any way, shape, or form that information should be given out so that the other crybabies and wannabes in our society that don't want to work for a living and get up off their dead butts and try to make themselves something more than what they are, I don't think that should be public information. I think it's nothing more than a tool to damn and condemn business in America. And I'm absolutely against that. Your thoughts. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We have been reporting stories on this program for a long time in regards to drones. And I go back again. I wish I had that book right in front of me. Deanne, do you see it up there? I don't see it. I thought I had it right here on my desk. A book called Drones. It was a fictional novel that was written, but oh my goodness, this novel was way ahead of its time as to the seriousness and absolute scariness of too many drones in the sky being run by everybody, from drug dealers all the way to the government themselves. And we're seeing danger signals of where we can expect on the news. And I say this with reservation because I hope it does not come true. But this past weekend, over Newark Airport in New Jersey, and I've flown in there many, many times to that airport, right across the river from New York and Manhattan in New Jersey, they had not one, but 4 sightings by pilots that were ready to land at Newark Airport of a drone less than, what was it, like 400, 500 feet off the ground, right in some cases on the glide path as to where these jets were going to come down and land. Whoa! Can you imagine the tragedy? The absolute tragedy if one of those drones gets stuck in an engine. Oh, my goodness. I don't even want to think about it. But where is the FAA? Where's the government? Where are private concerns? Where is everybody in saying, wait a minute, we got to curtail the number of these drones and really limit where they can be used and applied? And here we are in the middle of severe terrorist activities, not only here but around the globe, and we're letting this kind of thing happen at major airports? It's got to be stopped. It has got to be stopped before someone or a group of someone's, a major airliner, goes down because of a drone. What are your thoughts? Give me a call quickly at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Coming up next hour, after we have a little bit of a break at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk to a lovely lady that her and her husband have taken it upon themselves really to ramrod, and they've done such a wonderful job of heading up the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame, of which I am a very proud member. I was inducted 2 years ago. And Sharmi and Lonnie Lavelle from Over to Gooding, they have done a great job with their time and energy just to make sure the hall is growing, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about the induction ceremony that's going to be coming up in just a matter of weeks on August 22nd over at the Gooding County Fairgrounds, where they have the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame. And Charmy, just her and her husband, like I said, they put forth so much time, effort, and labor to make sure that the rodeo cowboys and cowgirls from the gem state of Idaho are recognized for their achievements in the cowboy sport, that of rodeo. We're going to be talking to her in just a few minutes. Don't forget, team roping Wednesday night at the Jerome County Fairgrounds. Dave Zanino and his crew are going to be putting on another series, team roping. They will, I believe Dave has kept the starting time, 7:30 sign up, 8 o'clock, and then they'll start roping. So don't forget that coming up at the Jerome County Fairgrounds on Wednesday night. Going to take a break. Be right back. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, my goodness. I'm trying to kill flies during the break, and I'm not a very good shot with a fly swatter either. I missed about 3 of them. They're still buzzing. Welcome back to this last half hour, and I also want to acknowledge some more of the great merchants that are urging you to attend the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo August 17th through the 22nd, including K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Burley. They have everything over there, from air compressors, pivots, tractors for landscaping. They've got it all, folks. Concrete tools. All you have to do is give them a call. K&R Rental can help you out. 678-3101. K&R Rental. You give them a jingle today. All right, thank you very much. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, also we want to say thanks to Rain for Rent. Deanne, can I see you for a minute, please? At 134 South, 600 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-5065. A leading provider of liquid handling solutions, from pumps, tanks, filtration to pipes and hoses. They've got it all. They take the worry off your shoulders so you can focus on your business and not on your liquid management problems. So be sure and check out Rain for Rent in Paul, along with my friends shipping worldwide, Pickett Equipment Company at 976 Main Street in Burley. Innovation has fueled Pickett Equipment Company since its start in 1970s, from the Twin Master Edible Bean Combine and all their great equipment. You call them at 678-0855. Pickett Equipment Company in Burley. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the phone lines, and we have with us a lovely lady on behalf of the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame. Her and her husband, Lonnie, very, very instrumental in getting everything all lined up and ready to go for the induction ceremony this year. Good morning, Charmy Lavelle.
Well, good morning, Director Zeb Bell.
Well, how are you today?
How are you?
It's really nice to have you on the program, and give us a little background, if you would, Charmy, as to what and why the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame was started.
Well, the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame was started to honor our Western heritage, our inductees, and to leave a lasting legacy for their families. The Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame was it started out as a cowboy reunion, and wasn't organized. And then my husband and I formed the nonprofit 5013C, the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame, last year, so now it's a nonprofit. And we're very excited about that because all donations are tax deductible now.
Well, you know, this idea and concept has caught on in a lot of states to honor the people that have been a part of the cowboy sport for all their lives. How are things doing as far as the growth and interest in the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame?
Now, we are very excited about that. The growth is... each year, it is just getting larger and larger. In fact, we are growing out of our present area and looking to build our own Hall of Fame. We're currently being housed in the commercial building at the Gooding Fairgrounds. And,
we're probably going to have 250 to 300 people there at the induction ceremony this year. So we're just very excited about it. We have a new representative in northern Idaho, Pam Donaldson, who has come on board, and she was so excited she couldn't hardly stand herself because she said people up there, she was said that they were so happy to see that we're a statewide organization now, and so it's going to even grow further. So we're just very excited.
And you know, Charmy, the thing I like about the effort that you and your husband Lonnie have put into this thing is that, man, it's a labor of love. You've done such a wonderful job in enhancing the idea of a Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame. And the inductees, I know they really appreciate it. We've had a lot of well wishes from some of the many inductees that said, man, this is really a neat event to be a part of.
Oh, well, thank you, Zeb. You know, this is truly a very exciting year. When I was putting together our program, I realized that this year we have 2 husband and wife inductees, Charlie and Dana Stovner, and Jim and Sandy Vickers out of Twin Falls. We've got sister-brother inductees, the late Walt Park and the late Jackie Park Rozier. Bless her heart, she passed this year and wasn't able to make it through to get to be on stage. But she's being inducted. We've got a father and son induction. 2009 inductee Dee Christensen has already been inducted. His son Val Christensen is being inducted now. We've got 4 brothers, the late Fred Stevens, Bob Stevens, Billy Stevens, and Jake Stevens. We've got a woman bull rider.
Oh, my goodness.
Dan Yoren. Grant Roberts is also an inductee. He's a pioneer in calf roping by dismounting off the right side of his horse. And we've got Troy Perkins, a roper who's won 30 saddles and hundreds of buckles. And in 2010, Troy and Gary Sewell won the actor finals in Reno for the Century Roping for the Nation. Now, that's quite a lineup.
You know, I really appreciate what you just said about many of the inductees. And, of course, I know each and every one of them, and I say a great big salute to them. I would not be where I am today in the rodeo business had it not been for when I joined the PRCA in 1974. The first contracting firm that I worked for was Stevens Brothers. And so it's really going to be a warm spot in my heart to sit up there at the podium and introduce them along with all the others as they receive their plaques and their inductee status.
Well, Zeb, those grandstands are going to be filled with the Stevens brothers. You know, I had a phone call from one of the sisters, and she said that they were so excited to be coming that it's really, it's not just the inductions, it's like a family reunion.
I can bet it is. Well, now, what about the general public, Charmy, as far as being a part of this? Is there still time and room for people to get tickets and be a part of the luncheon and the inductee ceremonies?
Yes, there is. We're gonna try. We're gonna go ahead and order some dinners extra for those latecomers. Actually, my firm's been burning off the hook this morning with late reservations. So they can, if they give me a call at 208-539-0202. Registration begins. They can register Friday, the 21st. Registration begins at noon, and then they should come in and start registering at 10 o'clock on Saturday the 22nd. And for those cowboys that want to come, there's oral histories being taken Friday the 21st from 9 to 11:30, and again from 1 to 4:30, and where we're making DVDs to preserve the history of those folks. And at some point, we probably will transcribe those DVDs into text for a book, and both will be for sale. We have past DVDs for sale. There's the photo shoot with the inductees, past and present, and their spouses or significant others will be Saturday at 10:45. There's going to be music by Johnny Yu and Carla. And then we've got the dinner and the inductions with live and silent auction beginning at noon. with wonderful, fun rodeo royalty serving the meals that's going to be provided by Brockman Rifles, Ballard Cheese, and fruit yogurts donated by Chobani. And then, of course, there's a Gooding Pro Rodeo at 7:45.
You know, I sat here and I listened to everything that's going on, and I got to tell you that last year, that meal that Jimmy Brockman and his crew put together, you can go to a lot of places all over the country and never get as good a meal as they had right there at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony last year. That was delicious.
You know, and that macaroni and cheese, oh my gosh, it was out of this world. Everybody just raved about it, Deb. Everybody. In fact, people ask, are they going to still be making the meal this year? And yes, they sure are.
Well, now, Charmy, tell us.
We've got fun. And by the way, Lavelle Cattle has donated a beef, and so raffle tickets are available to buy that beef, and that beef is being cut and wrapped by Scarrow Meat.
All right. Well,
So,
good. They're one of our sponsors.
To win for $5.
All right. Now, what about where the tickets are available? Are they going to be available that day over at the Gooding County Fair and then also at the induction ceremonies? Where do they go to buy those tickets?
The beef raffles?
Yes.
Or the dinner?
Either or.
Okay. The beef raffle tickets can be purchased in Gooding at the Valley Country Store, or they can they need to call me at 539-0202 so that I can get them registered and get their tickets. They've got to buy their tickets this week, or there won't be enough meat to go around, I'm afraid. You know, we've got to have some kind of an idea of how many people, but they can get those beef raffle tickets through me or through Valley Country Store, and they can order their dinner meal also through me.
All right. Now, Charmy, after all the work and all the labor and all the putting together the information and everything, it takes a lot of time and effort, and I really do want to praise you and your husband, Lonnie. My goodness, did you think that it was going to be this much of a labor of love when you started this thing? Because God bless you, we couldn't do it without you.
Oh, Deb, thank you. No, we had no idea. We just had no idea that it would grow this fast. You know, as a fledgling nonprofit, we're still putting together protocols and so forth. We've got 4 youth awards, by the way, that's very important. One is an agricultural award, one is a community service award, one is a scholarship award, and one is a rodeo scholarship award. So those are available for students who want to go through the effort of applying for them, and those application forms will be available at the dinner. Also, nomination forms for people that would like to nominate someone that they think should be in the Hall of Fame. Those nomination forms will be available at the hall, so they're eligible to pick those up. But it's quite an undertaking, really. We're putting protocols still together for our ambassadors. Kathy Jo Ruby is our ambassador this year, and we're sure hoping she'll stick in there and stay with us for a while. She's been great. And we're putting protocol together now for our representatives. So it's, you know, there's just a lot to do. And but that's okay, because it's about preserving our history and leaving a lasting legacy for those that we leave behind.
There you go. Once again, real quick, Charmy, if you'd give us kind of a rundown. It's going to be on August 22nd, Saturday. It's coming right up. Give us all the time it starts and also about ticket information one more time.
Okay, it's registration is Friday the 12th at 21st of August, and also at 10 o'clock on Saturday the 22nd. The induction event itself is on Saturday the 22nd, with the photographs beginning at 10:45. Then there will be music by Johnny Yu and Carla around 11:30. Dinner and live auction and inductions begin at noon. And then, of course, there's the Pro Rodeo at 7:45.
All right. Charmin LaValle, and thank you, along with her husband, Lonnie. They are just absolutely top-notch folks that have really helped develop the growth of the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame with the induction ceremonies on August 22nd over at the Gooding County Fairgrounds. And that's going to be during the Gooding County Fair and Rodeo. Charmy, thank you so much for being on the program.
Well, Zeb, we want to thank you and Deanne for all that you've done as directors and representatives for the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame. You just do a wonderful job, and we're so proud to have you on board.
All right. Well, Charmy, thank you. God's blessings, and we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you so much for being on the program. Great job.
Well, thank you, Zeb.
All right.
Have a great day.
Take care. Thank you so much. A wonderful lady and her husband, Charmy and Lonnie LaValle, and believe me, it has been a labor of love. They have helped the growth and popularity of the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame grow and prosper, and we thank them very much. Once again, it's going to be at the Gooding County Fair and Pro Rodeo, August 22nd, the induction ceremonies and luncheon, and it will be great. Thank you so much. I want to make a correction. We had the wrong telephone number for the K&R rental, 256 South, 600 West of Burley. And those good folks at K&R, I want everybody to give them a call because they got everything over there for you to rent: concrete tools, backhoes, whatever your project, at K&R Rental, 678-3122. You give them a call today. Time for the weather. And the weather is brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Changing the way we eat one bite at a time. Oh, the food's good. Oh, my goodness. The meat is delicious, and they've got that hot summer barbecue special. Rib steaks and New York strips, sirloin tips, ground beef, beef patties, pork chops, brats. My goodness, 50 pounds of meat for only $199. The hot summer barbecue special at Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. And now here is the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we enter on into another work week. Partly cloudy skies for today. We do have a slight chance of afternoon rain showers or thunderstorms. Pretty typical for this time of year. Slightly breezy as well. Winds out of the southeast right around 11 miles an hour. Expect a high of 88 for today. Tonight low of 60. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny skies. High of 90 with an overnight low of 63. And that type of weather is going to stick with us as we move through the week and on into the weekend. Expect partly to mostly sunny skies. Highs in the upper 80s to low 90s. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Range.
Thank you, Gina. And again, brought to you this hour by Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew at Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. Changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. I got time for some calls. Give me a jingle on the landline at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to go back to a story that I had just a little bit ago, and we ran out of time. But do you, as parents, grandparents, whatever, do you think that we should change the starting time of schools because the kids aren't getting enough sleep? The American Academy of Pediatrics last year urged middle schools and high schools to start no earlier than 8:30 in the morning to allow teens, who they say are biologically programmed to stay up later than adults, to get the recommended 8.5 to 9.5 hours of sleep nightly. What do you think about this? Personally, I couldn't care less. These kids and their parents need to learn the responsibility of getting up, getting ready, and prepared for school. And that also is going to be a life lesson to get prepared for something later on in life called a job. And keep making allowances. Oh, they need their 9.5 hours sleep. 9.5 hours? I'm lucky if I get 6 hours of sleep every night. Getting up at 3:45 in the morning to prepare myself for this job, which I chose to do because, quite frankly, it's been very successful, and I enjoy it. I enjoy my work. But oh no, little Johnny and Susie, why, they stay up later than adults, and so they've got to get their 9.5 hours sleep, and we need to start everything for them, cater to them, the next day. What are your thoughts? on this, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know what? I'll ask Wheels. He's in the age bracket that we're talking about. Wheels, what about it? Should we change everything to start later so that you poor youngsters get more sleep in the morning?
To be honest, my straightforward opinion, I think no. I've had to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning when I went to school, and I feel like those kids should do the same thing. I have to wake up at 6 every morning still to come to work, and it's like they don't deserve an extra hour or two of sleep just because they feel like they need it.
In your case, you'd better be out of bed, because I have a hotline direct number for you, buddy.
Yeah, I have my chicken alarm. Well, I call it a chicken alarm, but it's just an alarm. But yeah, I make sure I'm up at every morning before I go to work and stuff like that.
Now,
So
you're not a student anymore, but when you were in school, did you resent the fact that, what time was your first class when you went to school, high school? What was your first class time?
Well, Mexico started at 8:06, so we were in class by 8:10.
Okay.
Usually you were to school by 7:30.
Yeah. And did that hurt you? Oh, did it cause you stress? Oh, did it cause you a long, tired day? I mean, oh, poor Wheels.
Oh, no. Of course, I had my days where they were up and down, but most of the time, I got up, I went to school, I dealt with what I need to, I got through it, and I graduated, and now it's just like I feel like younger kids really shouldn't be able to get that hour or two of extra sleep because, we didn't get to when I went to school, and you guys didn't either, and it's kind of like they have to learn the responsibility of waking up and come and do a job.
There you go, Wheels. Thank you. You have just got that great big bonus in the mail. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a good day, sir. I just don't see why we have to always say, you're asking kids to learn math at a time their brains are not even awake. Well, get them up. Wake them up, feed them a decent breakfast at home, and maybe we won't have to worry about it. Your thoughts, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call on poor little Johnny and Susie not getting enough sleep, I will tell you this. Don't forget the best tire value promise in the industry from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They even offer what's called a free pre-trip safety check. It includes a visual inspection of the brakes, the shocks and struts, wheel alignment, front end components, brake components, and more. This is really a great service from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Along with the best in tires, like for your light trucks, on sale right now, the Open Country HT. All-season tires, superior handling at all 7 Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. The best in brake service. The best in brake service. The best, of course, in front-end alignment, shocks and struts. The best in batteries, but always the best in service. They come at a high lope out there to your vehicle to serve you. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. Well, I have just a moment. I want to remind you, too, what's happening tomorrow on the program, and boy, am I looking forward to that. We're going to have Frosty Woldridge on at 9:06 after our first hour of open forum, and then at 9:30, Marita Noon, and I can't wait to discuss with her the Obama Green Energy Program, all the absolute ins and outs and nutso applications that they want to try to apply at least another 500 million solar panels and wind turrets in this country. And Marita's going to tell us about the cost that it's going to take out of the money it's going to take out of your pocket and my pocket. And then, of course, at 10:06 tomorrow morning, Dr. History will be here in the studio with another great hysterical and historical story about what happened in the Old West, and a lot of them right here in the Magic Valley. I still have time for one quick call. Anybody that wants to give us a jingle, please do so at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I stated a couple of days ago that I'm hopefully going to get Catherine Herridge from Fox News. Her schedule has not been conducive with trying to get on my program and talk about terrorism, as we are also in the process of trying to get Brigitte Gabriel on our show. And both of those wonderful ladies we're going to try to get on hopefully this week or the first part of next week, so stay tuned for that. I think that's about all I've got for today. Wheels, have you got something that's a little bit longer in out music so I can take this call that's waiting on my cell phone? Is there a possibility you've got a good tune for us today? What have you got?
I got you some Creedence Clearwater Revival, and it is the perfect timing for
Now, you are too young to have listened to Creedence Clearwater Revival. Why did you change that? Why did you take a song from them? What's the appeal?
Well, it is on your list of people that you like to listen to, and I figured, well, why not give Zeb a song that he likes and that everybody else would enjoy?
Good old Creedence Clearwater Revival. We'll say good morning, everybody, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06 right here on Zeb at the Ranch. The way things were, the way things ought to be. Thanks, Wheels. God bless you, man. Have a good day.